Original versus remake, somewhat speed round. I love the 74 Texas Chainsaw, but the 2003 Texas Chainsaw is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I watched this movie in 2003 when it came out when I was 8. I remember going to Blockbuster to pick it out and watching it for a family movie night, if you were wondering why I'm the way that I am. So I think there's definitely a nostalgia piece connecting me to this, but I fucking love this movie so much. The 2009 remake of Last House on the Left is probably in my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. The original, to me, doesn't even come close. I respect everybody's horror opinions, but if you tell me that the 2015 Poltergeist is the one that you prefer, I am questioning your sanity 1982 all the way. Also questioning your sanity if you tell me that the Nick Cage version of The Wicker Man is your favorite, 73 all the way. I prefer the 2010 remake of I Spit on Your Grave over the original. Both are very difficult to watch, both are also very empowering, and this one I find to be more empowering. This is probably the only one where I'm going to cheat and say I like them both equally. 1981 Evil Dead is very near and dear to my heart because it is one of the only horror movies to ever truly scare me when I watched it super young. But the 2013 version is also just top tier. I don't even necessarily consider this a remake, it's more so a reimagining. They don't use the same characters or the same storyline. But either way, I truly cannot pick between these two. I love them both equally. I am a sucker for like mid to late 2000s horror, and When a Stranger Calls from 2006 is no exception. This one's not even a question for me because I honestly don't even really like the original When a Stranger Calls. I actually found it kind of boring. Same thing with the 2008 Prom Night. I fucking ride for this movie. I love it so much. Again, one I don't even think we can really consider a remake, but it is. Either way, fucking love it. Top tier. The 2019 Child's Play was a fucking joke, so this is a no-brainer. And I think the 2010 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street is one of the worst remakes ever made. So again, original, no-brainer. I prefer the original 1976 Carrie for a couple reasons. I actually like the 2013 version, but I like Sissy Spacek's portrayal of Carrie much better than Chloe Moritz. In the prom scene when Sissy is wide-eyed just like killing people, it's much more effective than Chloe doing all of her like mind control shit. Also, I like in the original, she actually kills her gym teacher, who was the only person that was nice to her, showing that she does not give a fuck and she shows no mercy. Whereas in the remake, she lets her live, which I think was kind of lame. I prefer It 2017 over It 1990. Yes, technically this is not a remake because the original was a miniseries, whatever. You may have heard me say it before, but I think the 1990 version is kind of cheesy. It didn't really hold up that great. I think Tim Curry's performance is still great. But for me, the 2017 version is much scarier and much more entertaining. This is a really difficult one for me. I actually fucking love Rob Zombie's version of Halloween. I also just really love Rob Zombie in general. Ultimately, I have to go with the 1978 Halloween as being the one that I prefer because it's just such a classic. But I really love the remake too. I prefer the 2020 Invisible Man over any other earlier rendition of it. Going back to what I said about loving mid-2000s horror movies, I fucking love the 2005 House of Wax. So I'm just going to preface this by saying that I believe that Friday the 13th is one of the weaker franchises in horror. Don't get me wrong, I love Jason, but I think a lot of the movies in the franchise are just like so bad that they're good. And I really just watch them to see Jason kill people. With that being said, I think that the 2009 version of Friday the 13th is Jason at his peak. He's scary as fuck in this one. He's not even in this one. So honestly, I think I would have to say I prefer the remake. Wreck is way better than Quarantine. The remake of The Omen is a disgrace to the masterpiece that is the original, 76 all day. Invasion of the Body Snatchers 1978 is my favorite version. It is a remake of the one from the 50s, but then it was also remade in the 2000s. But 78 is top tier, my favorite. I'm not really a crazy fan of the original Goodnight Mommy from 2014, but I think it's way better than the Goodnight Mommy that came out last year. Martyrs 2008 is one of the greatest movies ever made, and the American remake was a fucking joke. One American remake I do prefer, though, is The Grudge from 2004. I absolutely love the original Japanese version, but this movie, chef's kiss. Again, that 2000s horror just hits. I'm a die-hard 87 Hellraiser stan. Don't even come at me with that fucking remake bullshit. And while I do enjoy the remake, the 1974 Black Christmas is one of the greatest slasher movies ever made.